to a murder. A stranger lies dead in Arlington Grange. There are 6 suspects, but which one is the killer? Could it be Mrs. Peacock, lady of the manor and beautiful society hostess? Perhaps Colonel Mustard, military hero and intimate family friend? Is Reverend Green a saint or sinner? Is it Professor Plum, a man with a degree of suspicion? Miss Scarlet, Mrs. Peacock's glamorous stepdaughter? Or Mrs. White, loyal housekeeper and devoted confidant? Your host for Cluedo, Tarrant.
Hello there, welcome once again to Cluedo. There's been another murder at Arlington Grange. As usual, it's your chance to play along at home and pit your wits against the sharp intellects of tonight's guest detectives. Now, they are broadcaster and journalist Pamela Armstrong, writer, actor and star of Doctor at the Top, George Layton. Good luck. Good luck. And battling against them, children's TV presenter Gaby Roslin and veteran TV presenter Frank Bough.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Frank's saying thank you for veteran. Right, now, once again, it's a process of elimination and deduction. We want to find out where the murder was committed. We want the precise location. We want to know what it was done with. And eventually we want to know who done it. But first of all, I can tell you it was done with one of these 6 weapons. But which one? Was it the kettle flex? Was it that candlestick? Was it the gun? Was it the antique knife? Was it that bronze statue? Or was it that poker? And I can also tell you it was done in one of these rooms. But which one? Was it the kitchen? Was it the study? Was it the dining room? Was it the drawing room? Was it the billiard room, or was it the library? Now, first of all, the evidence so far. Mrs. Peacock has decided to reinsure the contents of Arlington Grange following a spate of recent burglaries. George Biddle, an insurance assessor, has arrived from London. Now, he's an old friend of Colonel Mustard.
You have a beautiful home here, Mrs. Peacock. Really beautiful.
Thank you. Please, make yourselves comfortable.
Thanks.
So, I understand you were in the army together.
Best damn sergeant in my company. Then one day I get a phone call and find he's back in Civil Street. And he's a director of Cosmopolitan Insurance, no less.
I wasn't exactly a director then.
Well, no, but you are now. Mind you, the amount of business I put his way, I'm not surprised.
Now, I expect you'd like to look over the house again, so why don't I just leave you to it and go and see Mrs. White about some tea?
Delightful.
That would be very nice, thank you.
Before you disappear, old chap, do you think you and I could have a quick word?
Yes. If you'd like to carry on, I'll join you in the drawing room.
Certainly, Mr. Biddle.
Now, it's a nice piece.
It's pretty lethal, I'd say. At least it's genuine. That's more than can be said for some of the things in here.
Really? Such as?
Well, take this bronze over here.
Tell me more.
Well, it looks very good, but when you touch it, it doesn't come alive. It's got no history. It's just dead.
I wonder if the delectable Mrs. Peacock intended to ensure this as genuine.
Or perhaps she didn't know.
Perhaps you ought to ask her.
Ah, here's the problem. A loose wire.
Oh, the Reverend Green will just have to lend us his. I'll go and ring him.
Why the panic, Mrs. White?
Oh, well, we've got these insurance people here, Professor, to revalue the paintings and that, and I think she feels it's not polite to keep them waiting with their tongues hanging out.
Insurance?
Well, what do you think?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with the files. But if it is, what's it doing here?
Tell me, Mrs. White, how long have these rather handsome candle holders been in the family?
I really couldn't say.
No? Oh, never mind.
Mrs. White, where were you before you came here?
Neston House.
Neston House. That rings a bell for some reason. Oh, well, never mind. These candlesticks, Mrs. White, they wouldn't have ever been kept in the church by any chance, would they?
The church? What would they be doing there?
Well, that's quite. Wait a minute, Neston House, of course. There was a rather unfortunate fire there, wasn't there?
Yes, of course I want to help, but you won't tell me why.
If you really loved me, you wouldn't ask. You'd just do it.
Do what?
Get rid of him, for me.
If you mean what I take you to mean, don't you think I deserve an explanation?
One kettle to the rescue.
Oh, thank you, Vicar.
Something the matter, Mrs. White?
He knows. I'm sure he knows. And he's going to tell Mrs. Peacock he won't insure her because she's got an arsonist in the house. And then what's going to become of me?
I don't understand. Who are you talking about?
That insurance bloke. Asking about the candlesticks. He's not bothered about the candlestick. That was just to fool me. Have the candlesticks ever been in the church, Mrs. White? What sort of a fool questions that?
This insurance chap, he wasn't with Cosmopolitan Comprehensive, was he?
That's the one.
We haven't been insured since my husband died.
Really? May one inquire why not?
There was a problem, Mr. Biddle. The previous company refused to honour my first husband's life policy.
Good Lord. Why was that?
It seems they weren't satisfied that the death was accidental.
But surely if the coroner's verdict was accidental, why didn't you sue?
I chose not to.
Rather than suffer the distress of the matter being reopened and investigated all over again, you mean?
Absolutely, Mr. Biddle. You appreciate my feelings.
Regrettably, Mrs. Peacock, we will be obliged to discover the exact grounds on which your husband's company decided to withhold payment.
Oh, dear. I've still forgotten the teapot. You see, that just shows you how much that man's upset me. Fancy forgetting the teapot of all things.
Shall I take the tray through to the library, then? Would that be a help?
Oh, if you would. Thank you, Vicar.
Terribly sorry. Very nearly a nasty one there.
Yes, it was rather.
Quite Reverend. Do you know, I'm just about to call on you. I wonder if I could pick your brains for 5 minutes or so.
Well, yes, of course. I'd just like to do this first.
For goodness sake, woman, tell us what's happened.
It's Mr. Biddle. He's dead. Somebody's murdered him.